All right, we're going live, by the way, on
No.
the YouTubes. Whoops.
New dimension.
Welcome to the
New.
Toddcast.
New dimension.
Podcasting.
Podcast.
Oh, hold on. I hate that. I always forget I have to mute the freaking. I have to mute it so I can on my TV because it plays through my earphones as I'm watching the monitor while I'm looking at the chat. It's crazy. Anyway, welcome to the Toddcast, guys. I am John, as always, regional manager extraordinaire. And tonight we have some special guests, not just my normal Tim Cope, who is with me almost every week. We have Tim Hibbard. So it is Tim Squared night. And we are waiting on our very special guest, Daniel Warren Johnson. He will be here momentarily, hopefully. Until then, we're just going to talk about some random stuff. So I'm going to cover all the NDC basics. So much stuff. Let's see. Secret Warehouse Extended Cut was last weekend, so I don't need to talk about that. Heroes United signing with Ron Friends. Just so everybody knows, that got bumped back 1 week. So it is now the 11th and 12th. So on the 11th, he'll be at the Mills from 12 to 3, and then he'll be at Cranberry from 4 to 7. And then he'll be at the Waterfront on the 12th from 4 to 7. Every Saturday, you can still go to Elwood, shops and quarter books in the VFW. It's cray-cray. Then we have Butler Anniversary Sale coming up the beginning of August, first weekend of August. And then after that is the thing everyone's been waiting for a long time to return, Free Comic Book Day. Unlike 3 free comic book month like last summer, which, you know, they tried, wasn't great. So, but it was a thing. So, yeah. Well, why don't Tim Hibbard? Why don't you introduce yourself to the world of the Toddcast fans? For those who do not know Tim, I will tell you briefly. He is one of my longest coworkers. He is an excellent assistant manager down at the Waterfront, and he is a master of the upsell. So take it
employee
for a few minutes.
Employee intro. All right, this is the employee intro segment. I just made it
up. Okay, so thank you for the intro. As they obviously have put, my name is Tim. I've been working for NDC. I think I'm going 7+ years now, like 5 years or so
that
as assistant manager.
Yeah.
But I came to NDC at the time when I didn't really like my job, so I got a job I liked a lot more.
What were you doing before that? It was
phone sales.
That's right.
For a theater company, and it was like the manager would talk about how it was not cold calls, but it was like you'd have leads for somebody who like came to one play 4 years ago. That's a pretty cold lead, you know.
If it makes it any better, I almost thought you were going to say phone sex, in which case it would be hot calls. So
that would have to be a tough job because, like, even it's hard to get people to be like, yeah, okay, I'll listen to this cold call of whatever. Mm. But like, then if you're like, okay, thanks for taking a second. So anyways, do you like the opera? God damn it. And then they hang the phone up. That's what I imagine that's like.
I hear you like shoes. Do you want some shoes? I got some shoes.
Well, you have a much better job now.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm a much better comic salesman.
And you have a fun non-paying part-time job of usually I know a pretty good amount. And then when I don't, Tim makes sure he lets me know. I don't not in like a braggy way, and I appreciate it. But then it's
right.
But then if I have like 3 or 4 in a row that I don't know and he just hits me with them, then it's just kind of like, come on, man.
It needs a win, you know.
I need a win.
All good.
I'm not saying you don't have to tell me. Just don't tell me now.
Oh man. So what are some things you're currently reading, Tim?
I was gonna say there was a bunch of fun books this week. Deadly Class has got is it the new issue back after the long break, Tim?
Yep.
And that's one of Tim and mine's favorite series. It's freaking amazing.
I really like the variant cover for that with like the samurai chick on it, I think.
Yeah. It's one of the main characters. And the issue centers mostly on her. And I don't want to give anything away because it's one of those series where it's just like there's so many great twists and turns and stuff. But the one thing Tim and I have been talking about is it seems like they might be Remender may be gearing up towards like the ultimate climax of the series and it being finally completely done, which it seems like he's going to give us a worthy ending, but we're also like, no, like we don't want the series to end.
Hold on. You guys ready?
Is our guest here?
Yep.
Our guest is here. Here we go.
Is that the thing that people still do?
Dan is connecting audio. Dan.
What's up?
There we go.
Can you guys see me?
I cannot see
you.
We can hear you.
It's so weird. I don't know why my computer camera isn't working. It's dumb. Hold on one sec.
I feel like you're just cosplaying as Spinal Tap right now.
Right? Hold on. Okay. I'm going to just really quick restart my computer because there's no reason why this shouldn't be working. And I'll be right back.
Okay.
No problem. Take your time.
Give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
No problem. All right. Well, at least we know he remembered. He got the email. Yes.
He's got to get through some
winning.
You can, for tonight, to make it easier, John, you can either call me by my handle, Time Cop, or you can just call me Cope for the night. Whichever one.
I think I'm just going to refer to both of you as your last names, and I will probably tell Dan to do that
Hibbard,
too,
Hibbs,
because that's
whatever.
easier. Hibbs and Cope, or Hibbard and Cope. Yes. So, yes, this is
like Tim 1, Tim 2.
Yeah,
well, I was like, I've done some
old man Tim,
interviews with him, but I don't know his voice perfectly, and I'm like, did you just leave a black screen up, dude, and just hire someone to talk to us to say it was you? Come on, man.
You are awful. What the fuck, dude?
Why don't you like us? But I know that's not what it is. He's coming.
No, my thing is, I'm just like, that was the voice. His voice is pretty much exactly how I imagined it to be, like, because from the way he plays guitar, that's how I figured it would be. So,
I from the way that I heard it, that's how I figured out how it would be.
So it's all good.
I'm not saying one way's better than the other, but
all right. Hey, if shirt guy who wants to see all of our shirts every week is here, just so you know, I bought this shirt 16 years ago in Boston, and it still fits.
I didn't know shirt guy was a thing. I just wore a t-shirt. Like, I do have a couple nerd shirts I could have wore.
This guy, I thought you would have wore your Murder Falcon shirt.
Things shrunk on me tragically.
Okay,
I thought you were gonna be like, it's.
I probably should have only
like
cold water washed it or something, but it yeah.
Well, when you wear it 6 days out of 7 every week.
I think it was printed on those Gildan shirts. I feel like those Gildan shirts or whatever, they shrink easy.
I think Hanes ones shrink more, but I'm actually Hibbard, surprised you don't have like just one for every day, to be honest. Like,
there was that was one of those things where there was only like a shortish window for when those came out. I don't know if you can still even get those.
If you would have told me it shrunk, I would have said just give it to me. I'll cut it up like one of those like rock star girlfriends that have like the cut up tees and tassels on the bottom, and then I would just wear it tonight. So, but missed opportunity, never going to happen again. So
Sad tragedy.
Murder tassels. Your stripper name, Murder Tassels.
What did I read this week?
I read that the Skybound X was cool.
Yeah,
too.
The Skybound X was cool. I really like the Rick Grimes 3000 story. It's like you cannot even like. It's just so freaking
bonkers,
weird.
But yeah.
Yeah. I ended up having to work a little longer than I hoped to today, so I actually did not get to read anything for the first time in a long time. Oh, here we go. And audio.
All right, I figured it out.
You did?
I did. There we are.
Boom! There we go.
There it is.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Well,
I'm here now.
to
I'm
the
ready.
show, Dan.
Hey,
Welcome.
thanks everyone.
So I'm John. I'm the regional manager of New Dimension Comics.
Awesome.
I'm their boss.
Tim. Yep,
And that's
one of the assistant
one of the
managers.
Tims. And
The other Tim. Yes,
The
we're
other
both
Tim.
assistant managers at the same store.
Two Tims that are both assistant managers.
Yep.
yeah, it's
It's
real
not
awesome when I
confusing.
get like reviews for the store, and it's like Tim was awesome, and I'm just like,
Who?
cool.
Well, we both are. So
Well,
Right.
thanks for joining us, everybody. Watching, we've got some people watching, and this is Daniel Warren Johnson. He's a super awesome and amazing creator, writer, artist. It's like
Musician.
an all-in-one. Yeah,
you've been a
musician.
store favorite of ours for a couple of years
Yep.
now.
Awesome.
He's done things like Extremity, fantastic, Murder Falcon, which I know we'll probably talk a lot about, Dead Earth, which was fantastic, and then right now Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah,
They're like all over the place, man. This is great.
I am all over the place, and I just finished Beta Ray Bill. I'm already working on something else.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do we get any hints as to what it is?
Yeah, it's like you know that Deadpool Black, White, and Blood or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing a little 10-page short story for that.
Oh,
That's
sweet.
nice.
awesome.
I feel like
You
that
just
must
did-
have been announced. Maybe not. Oh well. Sorry, Marvel.
You heard it here, maybe first. That's the guarantee we give everybody. Maybe
Don't worry,
first.
Dave Gabriel will totally be on your side. It'll be fine.
Well, that's Tim and I both missed that you had a piece in Superman. Was it Red and Blue or Blue and Red this week? And
Red and
until
Blue,
I was
yep.
like, I was flipping through it, and I'm like, oh no, I have to buy this now.
That happens to me sometimes too. I'll see anthology stuff and I'm like, oh, this person's in it? I have to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that with pretty much anything J.H. Williams does. Like he's just so good, man. Well, we are very, very happy to have you here from all the way over in Chicago, right? Like
Yeah, Chicago, Illinois, Chicago proper. I'm in Albany
Nice.
Pike. Yeah.
Nice. That C2E2 is one of the last shows I did before the world shut down. So
Same here. That was my last show, my last live wrestling show before the pandemic.
yeah,
It was a great time. Wow, what a weekend. What a blast.
right.
Was it an
so good.
AEW show or was it a WWE?
It was an AEW show. They had Revolution there.
Nice.
It was also the first show that I did since Dead Earth came out. So like I was able to like talk with people about Wonder Woman and everything, and that was just really fun.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
So
If the Tims don't know, the guys at Reed Pop are huge wrestling fans. Like
They are,
real
yeah.
huge.
they actually
my buddy
offered
Gabe
me.
is one
They
of the
offered me
guys.
free tickets to the show. I
Yeah.
had bought them like the day they went on sale, and I got like really good seats. And then, they're like, "We know you're a big wrestling fan. We have some tickets for you." I'm like, "Oh man, I already am going to the show. Thank you so much."
Where you're like, my seats are better.
Well, I knew my seats were pretty darn good,
Yeah.
and like I'm not gonna. I feel like, well, like how good are the seats? No way, I can't ask that question. It's like totally not like very uncool to do. Well, I'll take them if they're cool. Are they ringside? If not, pass.
Are they better than these
Yeah,
ones?
the
Because then we're gonna go. That's how we're gonna roll this.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
You're a better
That's
man
awesome.
than me then.
Oh,
I probably would ask.
I think of the three of us, I think Tim, other Tim here is the biggest wrestling fan.
right on.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about old school guys, I'll talk about some old school wrestling. But
are you watching Dark Side of the Ring?
I am not.
Oh, dude, if you're into old school wrestling, you have to watch it.
I just found out about that show like 3 days ago because I was reading an article about Stephen Amell, and I guess he's in it as like a trainer or something. And I'm like, okay, well, if Arrow's in it, I guess I'm gonna have to check it out. So
I know that I know documentary stuff. I'd probably be interested in that.
Yep, it is a documentary style. And I think the first 2 seasons are on Hulu for like not free, but part of the streaming service. So if you have Hulu, good to go.
I do. That's cool. Awesome.
I like an idiot bought every season on Amazon Prime, because like I don't have cable, so if there's something I really want to watch, like. Yeah. But I guess I was paying for the privilege to see it, when it came out instead of like waiting a year for it.
Yeah.
Streaming life. Anyway, I wrote it off. No big deal.
So, research.
Yep. Hey, I was just gonna say, you talk about buying it on Amazon Prime and then having access to it digitally. I'm pretty sure Tim and I both own like Dead Earth in issues and in trade.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah. and both covers.
I was gonna say I bought both A and B covers every issue when it came out, and then like it came out as this like really nice hardback, and I was like, well, now I have to get this too. Like,
thanks so much for the support.
Yeah, no problem.
I think I bought all the covers for Murder Falcon because I owned almost all the records that the homages were for.
That was the fun part. Yeah,
that was a blast.
The Pantera one was amazing, but a lot of the other ones I literally had to have one of the other guys at our shop that worked at our shop at the time, Rich Urbano. Shout out to him. He had explained to me a few of them in terms of references of like the albums.
Yep. I think the one I like the most is the Bolt Thrower one.
That was really cool.
Yeah, and it's like Bolt Thrower is definitely enough of a. For the metal community, it's not a deep cut, but for like for people who are like more into just like the big four,
more
it is.
Normies
it's
like myself. Yeah.
Not normies, just like it's like, oh, have you heard the new Bolt Thrower track? And people are like,
right.
Like your doctor hasn't heard of Bolt Thrower. They've heard of Metallica, but they haven't heard of Bolt Thrower.
I remember when like Shadows Fall and Avenged Sevenfold were on indie labels and nobody knew who they were, and then all of a sudden they were like, boom, into the front, and I'm like, I've been listening to these guys for like 4 years. Like, where you been, man?
That was the same with me with NSYNC, and it was just, man. Once they caught on, it was like, yeah, I've been telling you since the EP. God.
All right. Let me. If we're gonna talk music, let me ask you this: when was the first time that you heard the Arcade Fire? When did you get on the Arcade Fire train?
Oh man.
Because I was listening to that very first album like the day it came out, and it's like it's been my ultimate I was into this before it was cool thing. My wife is in the other room like groaning right now.
I can't even remember when did that record come out, like the actual year, because it was like early 90s, right?
I don't think it was.
Like
I think it was
90s.
Later. That was later than that.
Okay. Probably like. It was probably first record that I started listening. Like I was probably like late high school, early college, so like around 2000. Because I want to say that's around when that happened, right?
All right, I'm gonna guess early 2000s. I'm googling.
It looks like he's googling.
Okay.
September 14th, 2004.
Okay, I was still in college, and I remember it. Yeah,
I was about to go to college. I went to college in 2005, but yeah.
Okay, that's when I graduated. So
right on.
Cool. And I actually have a music business degree, just so you know. So that's why I was like, this is going to be the best interview ever because I can talk music with someone and not get weird, and everybody can't be weird about it.
Well, I love music, so I can talk about that all day.
I actually, I was listening to your record, like all your stuff on was it
Bandcamp? Yep.
You just released stuff like a couple days ago, right, or a day or two ago.
Yesterday, yeah. I released a little 3-track EP for the just celebrate that little Skybound X short story. Yeah, this little thing, and you know what I have this tendency to like do projects which I don't actually know how to do them, and then I just figure it out. But I've already said publicly that they're going to happen, so I have to figure it out. So with the first record, or with the first tracks that I dropped that was coming out with the actual, issues of Murder Falcon, I was like, I did not know how to mix. I didn't know. I was like, did not know how to program drums. I didn't know how to double track guitars. I was just like literally learning on the fly. So and now I listen to the like those tracks and I'm like, oh my God. And they're all like all different volume levels. Cause I don't know I didn't know how to master, and so
Band 101, buddy.
Oh, yep. So for this, I upgraded to Logic. Man, I got like an amps. I got all this cool stuff. I figured out how to master. I bought a $35 plugin where it's just one knob where you just turn it up and it makes it sound better.
Yep. Little preamp.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm learning.
I really liked. I think my favorite track of all of them though is probably Top Down, Cold Beer, Good Friends.
That's a great. Right?
Yeah. And it has like I was telling these guys earlier. I'm like, it has this cool like heavy Satriani vibe.
Oh yeah.
Which I was really, really excited to hear because I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Like you don't hear like that kind of melodic guitar anymore. Usually it's like lots of sweeping, lots of like, lots of trilling, like lots of stuff like that. And like flurry of notes, not like a lot of actual, like melody and like legato stuff.
Yeah.
So that was very, very cool to hear.
I love it. It's funny that you mentioned Joe Satriani because like when I was learning guitar when I was like 11, the first like guitar, guy that I had ever listened to was when my guitar teacher put on Surfing with the Alien.
Nice.
Which is, a Satriani like legend song. Love it so much.
Yep. So last music thing and Chicago tie-in.
Yeah.
Did you know that Alex Ross, who lives in Chicago area, is like a huge metalhead?
Is he really?
That's why he's done funny. Like 4 album covers for Anthrax.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot he did a bunch of album covers.
Dude, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Like
I'm
a huge metalhead.
I'm still waiting to see him around. I think he lives in the suburbs somewhere.
That's what I hear, but I also hear he pretty much doesn't leave his house. He doesn't own a computer. He doesn't even have like a flip phone. Like it's landline and painting all day long.
It's oil paint, right? I mean,
right?
Doesn't he also have like a basketball gym in his basement?
Something like that.
What? I heard that. Yeah,
I know some guys that work for him, and
sounds like he's a myth within the industry.
Yeah, and I asked Scott Ian how they could afford Alex Ross to do all these album covers, and he's basically like he's a fan. Like I was like winning. All right, so. We like to do this thing with
you guys will know I've made it when I have a basketball thing in my basement.
You have a basketball court in your basement?
I'm working on it. It's ping pong right now.
I thought you were gonna be like, you'll know I've made it when I've done an album cover.
Yeah, right.
You're a
90s kid from Chicago, so I mean, I guess basketball is as important to you as hockey tends to be of kids of Tim and mine's generation, like 90s, Pittsburgh kids.
Incorrect. I grew up in Massachusetts, so I missed it all.
So is that why you have all the
Chicago in school?
Say that again.
You went to school in Chicago, right? So is that when you moved there first?
I moved here in 2005 for college. Yeah.
Okay. So
I missed the golden age. I came in around like the Derrick Rose era.
Okay.
And he kept getting injured, and then I was like, also I'd grown up like going to college basketball games in upstate New York with my grandfather, and I just never really paid any attention to the NBA, and I was like, wow, this moves really slow. Sorry, I'm digging on the NBA right now. My bad.
It's all good.
That's all right. We're from Pittsburgh.
We don't have NBAs. What's NBA?
There's no loyalty.
No beer allowed. That's our NBA. So we do this thing with our guests. We call it the origin story. So it's where you get a chance to tell us like where you grew up, what you did, how you got into comics, some of your influences, all of that kind of stuff. And we kind of talked a little bit about your musical influences, but now we can talk a little bit about what got you into comics and things like that. So
yeah. All right.
Take it away, sir.
Man, origin story. Well, I started drawing around first grade because of Power Rangers. Thank you, Power Rangers. Without Power Rangers, I don't know if I'd be drawing Yellow Ranger, Green Ranger, Black Ranger, Red Ranger, a lot of the Red Ranger, the Megazord. like I drew that stuff all the time, and it was the impetus to like draw. So I was like, man, I really want to draw Power Rangers, so I'll figure this out. And I remember like the crappy brown paper that was like really cheap that you get in art class in like elementary school. I just draw Power Ranger after Power Ranger on that. And my friends or like my peers in first grade were like, this is really good. I was like, all right, I'll keep doing this. You know, I wasn't good at much, but I was good at drawing. And then as I started getting older, I started getting more into like comics and Transformers, drew a lot of Optimus Prime, and I was getting like anything that I could get my hands on comics wise. So my parents did not want me to like really read comics. I was like pretty sheltered as a kid. But my grandparents had some like old Batman comics, like the big, thick, like hardcover reprints.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they had like some of those, and then they also had a Dick Tracy, like the Dick Tracy newspaper strips.
Nice.
Yeah, they had those, like the reprint of those, and man, those like some dark stuff that happened in there. You know, people getting garroted and like, you know, women getting shot. But
the Batman one, the Batman one, was that maybe the greatest stories ever told or whichever? It was like a 70s reprint, I think.
Maybe it was like it was
a really early one that I read.
It was like magazine size. It wasn't like traditional comic book size, and it was like really thick, and it had like a dark blue hardcover.
Sounds really cool.
It was awesome, and so there was that. That was a big deal for me. I'd read that. I'd just eat it up every time, and then I started getting more and more exposed to comics. You know, just because I was getting a little older, and I just read whatever I could. Calvin and Hobbes is a huge part of that. You know, I was basically allowed to read anything that was in the library, and, you know, some pretty dicey things at the library in the 90s. So, you know, like I remember reading a bunch of stuff in the 90s in the library. And so then I'm like reading reprints of like Batman Year One, Dark Knight Returns, you know, just some really great classic stuff. This is as I'm getting older, started getting exposed to manga. And this whole time, you know, I was homeschooled too. So I grew up in Massachusetts, and my parents pulled me out because I was not doing well in school in second grade. So my mom was like, why don't I just teach you myself? She was a teacher. She is a teacher. But so I was homeschooled for a while through 12th grade. So my entire schooling, basically. So they wanted me to keep doing art. My parents did. So I started doing drawing and I mean, any kind of like general elementary school art classes, you know, like paper mache and sculpting and drawing and painting. And I hated it all except for the drawing. You know, like if it was painting, I hated it. If it was sculpting, I hated it. If it was paper mache, I really hated it. But if it was pencil and paper, man, I was like so there. So that was fun. You know, basically this teacher, her name was Rosetta. She was there, and she was like the main teacher, and she pulled my parents aside, and she's like, Dan is like pretty talented. I think he should start doing figure drawing classes. This is when I was like in 5th grade, maybe. Mm-hmm. So then in 6th grade and up, I just took figure drawing classes with like high schoolers and adults. And, you know, my teacher, Rosetta, would like come over and erase my drawings if they weren't right. You know, she's like, you're drawing what you think you see, not what you see. You know, but in like a really thick Italian accent.
As an amateur artist with growing up with comics, as you know, being, you know, one of my biggest sources of influence in terms of like my own style and what I've done and stuff over the years, doing that like actual drawing what you see versus, you know, representation and symbolism and things like that, like that's a hard thing to go back and forth with sometimes.
Yeah, it is, especially for like a 5th and 6th grader.
Absolutely, yeah.
But man, I really credit it with really helping me become the artist that I am today. Because, awesome. You know, it's like something that really needs to be ingrained in you as like something that comes naturally. So I do have a few art peers that are like close friends that we joke around with, you know, and sometimes they get frustrated with me because I can just like draw a tank after I've seen it. Or like I see a picture of a tank and I can like draw the tank like no problem. Wow. Riley Rossmo yells at me all the time. He's like, I don't understand. He's like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. I sound like I'm bragging, but it's just the way it is. Yeah. So, and I remember like I was talking with somebody in. I was talking with Rick Remender about. I'm not name dropping. That's just who I was talking to, and he was asking me like, he looked at my Green Leader comic, and he's like, "See, are you like dropping like in Photoshop? Are you dropping like a model, like a 3D model on the page, and then printing it out in blue line and inking over it?" I'm like, "No, what's that?" And Rick was like, "Oh man, it's like this really cool technology where like it's like you can take like a 3D model, spin it around however you want, put it on the page, you can like ink over it." I'm like, "Oh man, but I've been trying to be good at drawing X-Wings my whole life. What fun would that be?"
Oh wow!
I was gonna say for our audience that doesn't know. Green Leader is an amazing little ash can that you did.
Oh yeah.
This is one of my Christmas gifts to myself this year.
Awesome. Wait, where'd you get it?
I had to get it online.
No, you didn't. How much did you spend on it?
I don't know, probably like 50 or so.
Hell.
I don't know, do you still sell them much cheaper or something like that?
I am so sorry. No, I don't, because
okay.
I know
that you sold them, and I know they were much cheaper originally. I've heard stories, con stories and stuff. People always say you're amazing at cons.
Well, what I do is I say people can pay whatever they want, and then but it's like an artistic donation to like the DWJ art cause to help like pay back printing, right?
Yeah.
And because I really as soon as you put a actual number on it and you say like you're buying this thing, it's like Disney can officially say, you're
okay.
You know I mean? And especially, so it's one thing it shows, but especially if it's like on a website where it's like add to cart,
Yeah.
What I need to do is like, there's some people sometimes make bootleg t-shirts, and they post something on Instagram and they write, "This is not for sale. You cannot DM me and offer me this much money to get this. That's impossible." So maybe I need to do that, but your support is appreciated.
I was gonna say, if not to segue away from your origin story too much, but just something Tim and I have definitely been wondering about is with Green Leader as a segue. Do you want to do a Star Wars book for Marvel as badly as we want you to do one?
Yeah,
I do not. I don't think I want to.
Really? I was gonna say, we'd love to see you do like a Rogue Squadron book or something like that, where you get to do some dogfights and stuff. That'd be amazing.
Man, wouldn't that be amazing? You know what? Here's the thing. I shouldn't say I don't want to.
You wouldn't turn it down, is what you're saying.
No, well, so Marvel it's not really Marvel. The Disney Lucasfilm has a very specific idea of the kind of comics that they want, right? They have a certain look, a certain aesthetic, and I'm not necessarily sure that my style like fits in with that aesthetic. Like I pride myself on like drawing something from scratch and like making things a little bendier maybe than they should be.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that would really hurt my heart, it would be to like redraw an X-Wing so that it like looks more correct.
Yeah.
Maybe that wouldn't happen. I don't know. Maybe I'm I'm reading too much into it, but like, and also like likeness stuff, like, having to like make things look exactly like that's the direct line to burnout.
Well, and fans, they'll just jump all over everything if it doesn't look exactly, like, oh, it doesn't look like Luke, and then like, well,
who knows? There might be an editorial team out there that's like willing to like kind of do something exciting and has like Lucasfilm's permission, like I don't know, a Jet Porkins miniseries. Let's rock. Let's do it, guys. Come on.
See, I feel that you would be able to do like something on Kashyyyk and be like, fucking free reign, buddy. Go to town. Like they would just be like, whatever. They're Wookiees. Who cares? I also think that you drawing like a giant army of Wookiees would be pretty badass.
Oh my god! Oh, stop! No army of Wookiees here. Oh, I'm not doing that.
Oh man, see next time I see you at a con, it's gonna be like a blank Star Wars book, and I need some Wookiees, buddy.
It's a lot of dry brushing.
All right, just one Wookiee.
They get that flowy hair, right? Yeah. Get the motion of the hair, and
whenever somebody asks me to draw Chewie, I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
I need Chewie. What if I was like, I need Chewie, Han, Luke, and Leia playing as a metal band? Would you do that?
That'd be cool.
And Yoda plays drums. Just
it'll force me to work on my likeness game.
There you go.
Which I usually kind of appreciate because it's a really fun challenge to like not make it look dead. You know, a lot of times my likeness drawings, they kind of look like I've killed the person before I've drawn them.
I've never been able to draw like a good likeness of an actual person. It's never been a skill.
It's brutal.
No. Yeah.
And the trick is like, you have to like kind of, because I mean, anybody can like trace a photo, you know, and that's fine, right? That'll hit a deadline. Mm-hmm. But like, in order to get it like to look like you've cartooned it and make it look like recognizable, that's an entirely different skill altogether. And one that I continually struggle with. And then even then, you know, I remember I did a Star Trek cover a long time ago with Janeway on the cover. It was a Voyager one, and I nailed that likeness the first time, and it looked awesome.
Nice.
And they like made me redraw it 4 times, and by the end of it, you know, you're just like you're in this zone of like editing, and you're like, does it look good? I don't know. I can't tell anymore.
Is this even a person anymore? I don't know.
It got to the point where I just started moving her eyebrows up and then down and then up, and just sending them revisions of like, I can't do anymore. I'm sorry. And then I still had like the original layer that I had inked underneath. I'm like, this looks so good. Sorry, I don't. All right. Sorry to whomever editor commissioned me to do that one. So it was not that bad.
All right, so you get out of high school and then you go to college. And do you study art at college? Like, what did you study at college, and how did you get to self-publishing and then into the big two?
Yeah, my dad sat me down. I was choosing my major. He's like, Dan, it's just really not realistic for you to like be drawing spaceships for money. And he wasn't like putting me down. He wasn't like
wrong.
Right.
NRA Bill issue 4.
Like they had my parents, my parents supported the heck out of me, and it was more of just like a trying to be like fatherly and like want me to like have a roof over my head. So I agreed to do art education for like my school. So it was like basically double major, art and then education as well. And I did not like teaching at all.
Mm-hmm. Same. That's why I switched from ed to business. Yeah.
There you go. Well, you were smart. I was not. I like powered through it. I like went, you know, like ball.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh man. And so, you know, part of an education degree is you have to like student teach while you're still a student in college. And man, the experience was just miserable. You know, I wish I had the foresight to be like, you know, I really don't like this. I'm going to switch. Don't matter what my parents say, but I didn't because I don't know. So, but you know, after I finished college, I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to get like a dumb 9-hour minimum wage job. And I like pushed patients around a hospital for 2 years. And I was doing a little bit of drawing at that time. I was like drawing in a sketchbook a lot. And I was doing a lot of digital art, like exploring Painter 11. And I was like working on it when I could, but I didn't really have any direction. And I knew I wanted to do something with art, but I just really didn't have the wherewithal, and nothing was really working out. So then after 2 years, I got this randomly, like a teaching job just fell in my lap. And I was like, I'll give this one more try to be an art teacher for a middle school. Not too far from where I live now, actually. And man, what a nightmare. Oh, I was terrible at it. And, you know,
middle school's the worst as well.
Middle school's really tough. And then it was also the kind of the vibe where I saw every single kid in the middle school once a week. So you see like there's like these classrooms, they move around to like math, science, art, music, whatever. Mm-hmm. And instead of seeing like a different class every day for half a semester and then switching, I just saw the whole school. So I saw like 700 kids a week. And there's just no way to like instill a sense of like, you know, what is the class culture or like just the vibe of, you know, like, okay, we come in and we start doing this immediately. You know, you can set up these different bars to help you with classroom management. But man, when you haven't seen them in 7 days, they're just like, bah!
Yep.
Yeah, that rotating unit format or whatever. I don't know if there's probably a formal name for it, I imagine.
Yeah, well,
it's my middle school was set up like that.
Yep. I am not a fan, or I was not a fan.
Yeah.
And my wife, I had gotten married at that time in the spring of that year. So I was like halfway done through teaching this where I was coming to the end of my year. And my wife, Rachel, was like, man, you're miserable. And I really don't want to be married to a miserable guy all the time. So we had,
stop teaching. Please?
Right. Yeah. I was like just basically coming home and playing Mass Effect 3 all day. Just like horse blinders on, like, hey, honey. All right, hold on. I'm trying to get Commander Shepard in bed with this alien.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, I remember specifically there's like this big sex scene that happens in Mass Effect 3. And it happened when my mother-in-law came to visit. Just so random because like they were off talking, having coffee, and it was a little one bedroom. And I'm like, I can't exit out of this. I can't pause this. Let's go for it. I'd like been working up to like making love to this alien for so long. I'm gonna make it happen. Yeah. Like my mother-in-law's only 5 feet away. She won't notice.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
One of my proudest moments in life. But anyway, so my wife was like, "You're just sitting around playing video games, and you're no fun to hang out with, and you're just miserable all the time." It's like, well, right, but I have to provide. And she's like, we have some savings. Let's just see how you do. Try and make it work. And if we had about 3 months of like living expenses in our savings. So Rachel was like, let's just see what we can do. Right. Let's see how we do. And if we make no money, then you'll get a job at Starbucks, or we'll penny pinch for a little while longer. We'll figure it out. It's like, well, okay. And I quit my job, and my wife took me out for a steak dinner, like my last day of teaching. And the next morning I got up at 7 a.m. and I just started hitting that portfolio like a bat out of hell. Just went for it. So then I was taking anything I could possibly get that would pay me money. And at first I was like, I'll get a job at Starbucks part-time, or I'll get a job like being a waiter. Yeah. And all my friends who were also freelancers were like, don't do that. Just go for it whole hog for 3 months and see if you can make it work first. And then if you have to retreat, do that. And it was really wise advice, because I treated for 3 months, I just treated, building my portfolio, working on art. I treated it like a job for just, a while. Mm-hmm. And I started getting a few like storyboarding gigs, and I started doing like zombie portraits at Comic-Cons. That's like how I was able to pay for like a $500 table at Wizard World. Back when like zombies were like super popular, I draw like likeness portraits of families eating each other.
It's also back when Wizard World had cheap tables.
Yes. Well, man, dude, I think my first Wizard World was Chicago, 2012. And the table was like $500. And my mom, we could barely afford it. And my mom, she helped us out. She's like, sent me a check for $200. She's like, I'm making an investment in my art son.
Little did
Thanks,
she know.
Mom. Yeah. Oh man. Who knows? She's like, my son's gonna table at a Comic-Con. Okay. And what's so funny is like I didn't know how. I was just like, I'm gonna try and get my comic out there, which I was working on Space Mullet, which would be like the way that I would, I was going really wide with all the stuff. So I was doing storyboarding, character design, poster illustration, all of the stuff. And comics was one of those things. I was trying to make money any way I could. And so I brought like my originals to the Comic-Con. I had like a little email sign up, the whole thing, like little postcards I was handing to people, and it was dead. Like nobody cared. And then, I went home and I was like, I'm not sure what to do. This is Thursday. Like, I don't know, maybe what I should do. And Rachel was like, why don't you do the zombie portrait thing? I did it at a fundraiser like 2 weeks ago. Back in 2012, I had done this fundraiser for a theater group, and it was a huge hit at this bar. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll try it. I go back Friday. I made like a sign that night, like zombie portraits, $30 or something. And I just started, it became insane. Like I did like, man,
$30. Holy crap. That's cheap.
Dude, I did so many. So it went up. So if you wanted like 2 people, it'd be 40, or
Yeah.
I think three people took that much longer. So it was like 60, or I didn't want to do 3 people. So I upcharged it and everybody just did the 3-person option. And I came home with like $5,000.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I drew my ass off.
You
I drew my
cranked out
ass
some
off.
Shit, man.
Hell yeah, you
I did. I don't say that to brag. That's like I was sore for a few days.
I was gonna say, like, hand cramping and whatnot. Like that's amazing.
And I was adding color to them too. I was doing like the Copic thing, you know.
Oh, wow.
There's this Copic color. It's called putty. I had like 10 of those guys just ready to go. Just and then there would be a few people who would stop and it would be like, "What's the space mullet thing?" Because I kind of split my table into 2 sections, like the artist trying to make it, and then the the shell guy just like trying to make a buck on zombie portraits, you know. And it became a way for me to like just help pay the bills. So, and dude, I was drawing for a living, you know. I was so happy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then so then I just kept working on Space Mullet, kept doing the zombie portraits, kept going to shows and doing my best to push it. And then in late 2013, I got an email from a Dark Horse editor that I had met at C2E2 2013, who asked if I wanted to do a book called EVE Online, True Stories. It was like a comic book video game thing for this like video game about spaceships. And it was just 16 pages, and I sent my dad the check. I sent him a picture of the check. I was like, "Can't make money doing spaceships, huh?" My first comic book gig is literally drawing spaceships, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare project. It was due December 30th, like just insane. But I finished it, and I was able to pay some bills. So, man, what a crazy time. And so at that time, I know this is taking a really long time for me to get through. I apologize.
No, we said you worked everywhere, so this is great. I love it.
So then sometime late 2013, I was making connections with Donnie Cates. I read Buzzkill. I went to my local shop. This is in late 2013. And
so is that Windy City or is that Graham Crackers?
That is Alley Cat Comics in Andersonville. Okay. Yeah. Cool. One of the owners, she said, you should read this comic, Buzzkill. I think you'd really like it. And she gave it to me for free. I was like, okay, sure. I'll read it. And it was blown away. I was just blown away. I thought the writing was so great. Art was great too. And I emailed Donnie. I reached out and I was like, man, I just loved Buzzkill. I think it's really great. You know, I was basically just saying hi, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Donnie responded and he was like, oh man, dude, I love your Space Mullet comics. You know, I was in the little footer of my email signage. He's like, we should talk. And we talked on the phone for a while and we started talking about some comic book ideas and we just kind of like hit it off. And then in early 2014, he called me and asked me if I wanted to do the Ghost Fleet with him.
Yeah.
Such a fun book.
It wasn't. It was a super fun book. So he had an artist that was going to be working on that. And he left the project. The artist couldn't do it. So Donnie was like, I have this book greenlit at Dark Horse and I need an artist like now. What do you say?
That's awesome.
And I was like,
nice.
Done.
If I can tell you the way that I usually sell people in that book is I tell them that it's about the guys that do that drive the trucks for the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like, they're the guys that do the shipping of that secret stuff that nobody's allowed to know about.
That's how he pitched it to me. And
was it?
Yeah. One of my favorite panels from issue 1 is there's a guy puking out of his eyes. The book is so insane. Awesome. I was also like, I didn't know how to draw trucks. I didn't know how to draw half that stuff. I'm just flying by the seat of my freaking pants. Like, Donnie's like, okay, the first issue's due in like a month and a half. I'm like, okay, give me the script.
Jeez.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no pressure, right? No pressure. But that's awesome.
Man, but talk about Forged in Fire. I mean, like, I learned so much on that book, and it was really fun working with Donnie. And oh man, what a blast! And I was still working on Space Mullet at the time too. So, yeah, man.
So that would have been your second book and his second book, then, right? Buzzkill.
I guess it kind of depends on what you define as book, because Space Mullet was nowhere near being published at that point.
Yeah, it was a webcomic for a while, right?
Webcomic.
Yep, Space Mullet didn't get published until 2016.
Okay.
So yeah, just one of those things where I managed to maybe got a little lucky. Donnie was trusted me to do the book. And so I guess I would call The Ghost Fleet like my first book, because EVE Online True Stories, it was like 16 pages, Also, like, I don't know, you'll notice EVE Online True Stories and Ghost Fleet, I just draw foreheads way too big. It's insane. It's crazy. They're like skyscrapers. I don't know if you've noticed this. I've mentioned it a few times, and people are like, "Oh, wow, you're right."
Yeah, now I got to go back and look.
Yeah, you will, and you will be blown away. You'll be like, "Holy!" It's going to be like all you can think about. Head. Oh my gosh! Freaking! I still default to like making people's foreheads too big. It's like my kryptonite. Anyway.
So then after that, was that when you kind of started heading towards like Murder Falcon, or was this like an idea that like was in your head for a while, or how did that all come up?
So then, oh geez, after Ghost Fleet, I had like no leads on any work. It was dead. And I was like, I worked my freaking butt off on this book. I feel like I should be getting more work, and just wasn't happening. Then I got offered Alabaster, The Good, the Bad, and the Bird by Caitlin R. Kiernan. And I worked on that. It was 5 issues. That was pretty tough. The scripts were like 50 pages long. I mean, they were really...
Holy cow.
Wow.
Dude, some of the panel descriptions would be like paragraphs, It's...
Is it based on novels?
She also did a bunch of novels with those characters in them, but I don't know exactly how they... So Steve Lieber worked on the first series with her.
Because I got the one that you did, and it like started you in that place of like, oh, this story's already been going on for a while.
Yeah,
like,
Steve Lieber worked on like volume 1, and I was coming in on volume 2, I think. So I remember working really hard on issue 1 and like really busting my butt, and I was getting notes back about like, I mean, I've said this before, but like my wheel wells were too big, or my wheel wells were too small. Like when I would draw a car. In specific models of cars, it's like, well, this car actually has a 14-inch wheel well radius, and it's looking kind of small here, and it just kind of made me shut down. I just like, and I wasn't able to have any connection with the writer either. So she would email my editor, and then my editor would copy and paste everything, and then so I kind of felt like I was in this I was like alone, just churning out pages and getting these really intense notes back, and there wasn't much of a collaboration element. So I was kind of burning out towards the end of that. That was so towards the end of that book is when I was like, you know what? I really don't want to be beholden to writers anymore after this project. I don't want to paint Caitlin R. Kiernan in like a bad light or anything. It was just a tough project. And it just kind of made me aware. It's like, you know what? I really want to be in control of my own destiny. I want to be able to write my own stories like I'm doing with Space Mullet. I really want to make this a priority. So I started conceptualizing Extremity at the time. And I came up with a pitch for Extremity in late 2014. And I pitched that to Skybound in early 2015 at Emerald City Comic-Con. And they said yes. And then also in 2015 at Emerald City, I was sitting next to James Herron, and he was just blowing me away with his skill and talent. And he's been a huge hero of mine since I've ever seen his stuff. When I was teaching in like 2011, 2012, I was getting to meet him for the first time. I made a complete idiot of myself, totally fanboyed. And but I got to sit next to him the whole show, and I just saw him drawing, and I was like, this guy is bringing it so hard. It's time for me to bring it hard as well. And then I went home and I made Green Leader. Because I was like, man, I just want to try and recapture the joy of making comics just for the heck of it, And
yeah,
a lot of my friends and peers were like, don't do that. You should be working on your own stuff. And I was like, well, it's only like 11 pages, It's 11 days of my life, and it's something that I can do that I've always wanted to do. And just, I've been, like I kind of said before, I've been working on drawing X-Wings really well my whole life, and it's time to put it into action. Like I remember like when I was little, like in middle school, drawing an X-Wing and be like, someday I'm going to be able to do this. And Green Leader was the fulfillment of that dream. So
awesome.
So then like I was working on Extremity, and then going from Extremity to Murder Falcon, I conceptualized Murder Falcon towards the end of Extremity, where I basically my brother was doing roller derby, and he was looking for a roller derby name, so he's sending me ideas, and it was between Murder Falcon and Andrew Lloyd Shredder. I know. Yeah, I know.
This is an amazing story.
Yeah, and I texted him
Where's
back.
that comic? Where's that comic? Are you working on that?
I texted him back. I'm like, it's got to be Andrew Lloyd Shredder because I'm taking Murder Falcon. Like, you cannot use Murder Falcon. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that comic.
Awesome.
I still have
That's
that text conversation in my phone. And I just from the name alone, I came up with the idea that night. I was like, a guy that has like an avatar, so the better he plays, he shreds, the better this bird man fights.
Yeah.
And just, I basically thought of the idea. I came up with the pitch, and it was Emerald City 2017, 2018. I can't remember exactly. Maybe, I don't remember when. It was some show. Maybe it was Rose City, September 2017. Who knows? I went up to my editor and I was like, just so you know, the next book I'm doing is called Murder Falcon. And, Skybound can do it if they want to, but if you don't take it, I'm just going to do it by myself. And he laughed, and he was like, well, I really like the name. Put it together an official pitch and we'll talk. And they loved it. And then I remember Robert sat me down at San Diego. This is before the book came out. San Diego 2018. He sits down, he's like eating like a tortilla chip, and he's like, Dan, Murder Falcon is a triumph.
Who was this?
This is
Robert. Sorry, Robert
Okay.
Kirkman.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm name dropping. I'm being a total dick right
No,
now.
No.
It is what it is.
I've never met Robert, but I've met Sean a couple times, and they're both
Sean
like,
Mackless.
he's
great.
a super good dude. Yeah.
I remember when I pitched at Emerald City, all my comic guys, my peers, like Ramon Villalobos was there, and not Joe Kelly, the guy who wears sunglasses inside all the time. Joe.
So cool.
No.
Joe Casey.
I know who you're talking about.
Joe Casey.
Yeah.
Joe Casey.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, I gotta Google this. Make sure. Sorry, Joe. Joe Casey. Yes. Okay. All of his Google images have him wearing sunglasses. Joe Casey's in the corner, and I'm like pitching them this idea. This is the day before I pitched the Murder Falcon. I was like, guys, my next book's gonna be Murder Falcon. This gonna be so awesome. This guy has this guitar, and the better he plays, the better this guy fights evil. And Joe Casey like leans forward. And he's like, do you like making money? I was like, yeah. He's like,
followed with, because you're going to make a lot of it.
No, it was definitely
the
like
opposite, completely the opposite.
Oh, it was completely the opposite. It was so fun. Like it's all in good fun, right? It was like safe space. I was having a great time. They're just busting my balls like in the best way, like just killing me. And I was like, just you wait. This is going to be so awesome. And I pitched them that day. And then actually Sean and Robert, after I pitched Sean had told Robert about it in the middle of the day. And then Robert came to say hi later that day. And all my friends were sitting, in a row next to me. And Robert comes up and he's like, Murder Falcon, I heard about it. I love it. I looked at all of my friends and was like, suck it.
That's awesome.
Well, and I think the thing that I like about it is like Murder Falcon. It's awesome. You look at the cover and it's going to be action and rock and roll, but there's a deeper story there. It's not, it's going to put you through some emotions.
Yeah.
You're going through depression and, different things like that. And I think that's the part that really surprised me when I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my God, this Falcon's like kicking this guy's ass, and there's a van flying through the sky, and
the plot twists are are so emotionally based.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was fantastic, especially for that reason, because it's just makes it even more well-rounded. It just, instead of just being like, oh, it's a cool like comic representation of like an 80s action flick. No, like this is the complete story, and
Totally.
so yeah.
appreciate it.
So
yeah.
Before we go into anything past Murder Falcon, Tim Hibbard has a really cool story for you to hear. Because firstly, just literally every single member of our staff in all 6 stores read this book. And
awesome.
We all loved it. And we all pushed it on pretty much everyone we can.
Yes.
So now Tim's going to tell his story about who he pushed this book on and how cool it is.
Well, first, I just want to vindicate. Obviously, you already vindicated your pitch on the series and stuff, but to vindicate your pitch on the series, when we got the ash can for it, I'm one of the guys that usually scans in all the new stuff for us every week, and I'm one of the first guys that got a chance to look at it. And I read that first intro, and it's like, I don't need weapons, officer. I have metal. Like I freaking fell in love with that series. I was just like, all right, I'm down. I'm down for whatever the rest is what's gonna happen. Like, I'm sold.
By the way, I'm pretty sure I've said that to someone, an actual officer in college. So
way to go.
But we had a surprise visitor. Was it 2 years ago at this point?
Yeah.
Because it was the last location. It was Tuesday. I want to say Monday or Tuesday. It was early in the week. It was still, I think we might have been processing stuff, but it was, relatively slow in terms of business. And mid-afternoon, who walks into the store with freaking this guy that looks an awful lot like Kevin Smith.
Oh,
and he was in town promoting one of his movies with a theater that he's been friends with since I think the first couple times he filmed here for Dogma and stuff like that around here.
Okay.
And he, was just found out there was a comic store, locally, and wanted to come check it out. And, it was me, our manager, and one other employee, and we were all just jaws dropped. I had to be the brave one to go back and talk to him first, because the other two wouldn't. And it's like, hey, how you doing? It's just like, well, how you doing? It's like, oh, I'm freaking out a little bit. He's like, no, don't do that. And he was super cool with us, super welcoming, accessible, took a bunch of pictures with us and all that kind of stuff. And he asked me if I had been watching the HBO Watchmen series, because it was still fresh at the time. I don't think it had ended yet.
Okay.
And I hadn't yet, still haven't. I still need to get caught up on that. But I told him that, from what I heard, and I'm a big Regina King fan and stuff like that, that I absolutely was excited to watch it and stuff like that. And he did his very magnanimous Kevin Smith famous nerd thing of, he nerded about, how much he loved the series and how much I absolutely need to watch it. And he, for a minute or so, and then he gave me an opening, and I'm just like, all right, well, I have to give a nerdy sales pitch or something I love to Kevin Smith. And at that time, Murder Falcon was probably my most pimped book at the time.
All right.
I wish
this would have been right. Yeah, this was right when the trade
looked up our sales numbers
Okay.
before this interview, because we've sold a lot of that trade.
Yes.
And I basically gave him a rundown on kind of that first scene from the ash can a little bit, and he's like, all right, that sounds cool. He's like, go grab it for me. And I, booked to the shelf, grab it for him, hand it to him. We flipped through it a little bit. He's like, yeah, this looks pretty cool. And he grabbed it, and then he bought that with a bunch of Kevin Smith Clerks themed merchandise and stuff we had in the stores, because I think he needed stuff for prizes or giveaways for the showing of it was the new Jay and Silent Bob movie was what he was showing at the time.
Reboot, yeah.
But yeah, that is my proudest moment,
dude,
as a comic book salesman, is that I sold your book Murder Falcon to Kevin Smith.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if he's read it yet. Obviously he's a pretty busy guy.
If I ever see him at you bump into the strangest people or the most random people at shows, I'm gonna be like, you've read Murder Falcon. I know you have, because Tim Hibbard gave you a copy of the ash can. Did you ever read it?
No, not the ash can. I got him the trade. He
gave him the trade. Okay, you gave him the trade.
Yeah.
So what'd you think, Kevin? Did you like it?
Are we greenlit? Are we ready for a movie?
I can talk to him how much I like Chasing Amy.
Oh, and I was gonna say, while we're still on Murder Falcon, it just occurs to me, if I can mention one of my absolute favorite jokes / gags / things in that series that was amazing, was when they first go into the heavy and you see like this like temple-like structure, and in the symbol as like a deity-like statue, you have Lemmy just as a nice
oh yeah,
seemingly, at least to me, seemed like a nice Airheads reference.
Oh, dude.
It was vindication for Tim too, because
trick question.
Me and Tim,
Lemmy is God.
We both liked the book. Tim was like, oh, he's the one that got me on the book.
Awesome.
But then the other manager, Chip, was just like, he was like, because Tim was selling the book like crazy to people every chance he got. Like, what should I read? What should I read?
Basically, every one of our regulars that we treat as a friend, I was just like, you need to read this book.
Awesome.
And Chip would be like, Murder Falcon, go show him Murder Falcon, because he was hearing it so much. And then, he sells it to Kevin Smith, and he's like, damn it, I guess I can't really give him shit anymore, can I? Like, nope, no, you cannot.
All right, so here's I have a crazy concept.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you about this post a show, which I still will with actual dates, but we run a convention here in Pittsburgh called Three Rivers Comic-Con.
Okay.
So if you ever decide you want to come and hang out with us for a weekend, by the way, we make our own beer for it.
Oh, awesome.
I think you should have Tim at your booth literally just selling Murder Falcon all weekend for you.
You will sell so many copies. And I mean, you'll sell a lot of copies regardless, but
yeah.
That's awesome, because I'm so glad to hear that, because the single issues did not do very well.
If they would have done more printings of the early issues, I could have sold more. But it was like I think they did a second printing of number 1 and maybe a second printing of number 2.
Maybe.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
And it was like, I couldn't get people on it later on.
Yep.
Like,
totally.
It was unfortunate.
Man. Well, I remember like we saw the numbers and we're like, dang it, this book feels like it could be better, like could do better. But the trade has been like a slow, chug-a-lug, chug. It's just going. It's the little book that could.
It's still going. That's awesome.
And we're almost sold out of the first printing of the trade. So
that's awesome.
How many was that first printing?
Oh, jeez. I do not remember. I should know this.
Hundreds of thousands, though.
I wish.
Oh, okay. No, okay.
Not hundreds of thousands. Oh no.
They don't even make hundreds of thousands of single issues anymore. So.
Unless it's like a really big deal.
I actually thought they would do more trades than issues, but
I think they did a big. I do think they did a big run because it's cheaper that way, and you just wait until it sells out, however long that takes. And I think also with like my other like big 2 stuff and kind of getting noticed there, people kind of go back into the discography, and they're like, what else is out there?
That's what I did, and Tim's been working on it now too.
Awesome.
Going back and reading your older stuff.
Yeah, it's yeah. So that's really good, and it's just kind of the, backwards in time selling, which I love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you get from Murder Falcon to Wonder Woman then?
Yeah, so at the end of Murder Falcon, I was trying to think of like, I really wanted to do another creator-owned thing, but I just like, I didn't have any great ideas, and I was a little not burned out. It's not the right word. I just didn't like have any good material.
Uninspired.
Yeah, like I just was like, man, I don't know. And I had been talking with DC a little bit, and they kept asking me if I would want to draw things that people had written, and I kept saying no. And I was like, look, if you have something that you want me to write and draw, please let me know. I'd love to do that. And I just always kind of kept the door open. We had a nice little email relationship back and forth for a while. And then one day, Andy Curry emailed me saying, hey, we'd really like you to write and draw something for Black Label. What do you think about that? And we went back and forth a little bit, and we came up with a Wonder Woman story, and I pitched him Dead Earth and just the whole concept of Wonder Woman pushed to her limit when she's unable to be, indestructible, and what it looks like for Wonder Woman to fail in a world that's failing, So he liked it a lot. And I just was like, you know what? And it was between that, and I'd also been talking very casually with Marvel about Beta Ray Bill at the time. And, it was Wonder Woman, and DC was offering me more money. So I was like, I'll do Wonder Woman. And so I did Wonder Woman, and it was awesome, and it was really fun. They let me get away with a ton of stuff. And it's so funny, the edits, it's a Black Label book. It says mature on the cover. I don't really feel like it's a super mature book. But ever since the Batman Damned, boy, gotta watch out.
That was a fun week at our store. That was interesting.
Only imagine.
I think we sold out of them by Friday. Yeah. They came out on Wednesday. We sold out of them by that Friday.
Well, and I think we even joked, Tim, like, oh, what are they going to do next? Like a Wonder Woman book where she's topless or something? Because
I feel like I was. Yeah, I remember us joking
on purpose.
About that.
How do you miss that in? It was there. It was Batman.
I feel like when we heard that he was the one doing the book, though, we were fairly confident that wasn't going to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's so funny though. It's so funny that you mentioned that because I wanted to do an Eastern Promises style fight scene in like a Greek bathhouse with just a bunch of Amazon fighting each other.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
It wouldn't be like sexual at all. It would just be like really intense.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not really like a supermodel. I'm not good at drawing hot ladies. I guess I should say this. I've just never been good at it. So it'd be a bunch of like Daniel Warren Johnson women fighting in a bathroom. I was like really excited about it, And Andy was like, there could be no sex at all. Nothing. Not at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it's Black Label.
Black Label, yeah.
Yeah. And poor Andy was like, look, when Batman happened, it was a bad situation for everybody involved. The way he talked, it sounded like the DC offices had been like set on fire.
Oh, wow.
I remember talking to Azzarello at Baltimore, like right after Damned came out. And I was like, so much for mature book, huh? He was like, yeah, those fucking liars. He's like, well, at least I got mine in.
I remember I was talking with Azzarello when I was in Lucca. He was hanging out. We were at Donnie Cates' wedding. He was sitting outside of the ceremony smoking, drinking a beer, and we were talking about Wonder Woman. And he's like smoking, and he's like tapping his cigarette, and he's like, "Be careful with Wonder Woman. The fans love her." And I was like, okay. He's like, good luck.
Nice.
If I can say from as a jumping off point, one of the things Tim and I both love with Dead Earth was literally page 1. You have Wonder Woman retcon to her old Silver Age,
yes,
post crisis, also origin of Clay, because Greek mythology. My dad taught me to read with a kid's book on Greek myths, so that's possibly my only nerddom before comics.
Cool.
And I have very strong opinions about making Wonder Woman just another kid of Zeus, because to me it makes her incredibly unspecial.
Sure.
in terms of Greek mythology.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dead Earth was amazing on so many levels. Another great, emotionally devastating in certain points and just amazing action. But just like, talking about the moment that one sold me was page 1. It was like, she's Clay. Like, all right, I like Daniel Warren Johnson's version of Wonder Woman.
That's awesome. I remember I worked so hard on page 1 too. Like I worked so hard.
Really?
On page 1. Yeah. Well, because it's like the first page is like setting the tone of the whole book, and especially with that kind of panel, like kind of the epic kind of like three point perspective kind of vibe with the wrapping, the soft walls. And man, I remember that day. It was a good day. I felt good about that page when I finished it. It was just a really solid start.
And we got Cheetah with a cheetah fist, and that was probably one of my most.
I did not come up with that idea until it actually was time to draw her.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, because in my thumbnails, I was like, it's basically stick figures, and I'm like, how am I going to make Cheetah look cool? I was like, what if she had a cheetah for a hand?
That's awesome.
Wow. And so poor Andy, he's just like, I'm like, here are the thumbnails. He's like, oh, looks great. Can't wait to see the inks, And I'm working on him, and I just send him batches like 15 to 20 pages at a time, And he's like, "Oh wow, Cheetah has a cheetah hand. Cool."
And honestly, I think that's one of the things that Tim and I and probably so many other people just love about your stuff is like there is this wonderful, and I feel like comics is a great medium for it too. There's this wonderful mixture of just like badass and cool.
Yeah.
And actual emotional depth and foundation at the same time.
Thank you.
I was talking about the emotional twist in Murder Falcon. Like that book was like I was expecting it to just be fun and awesome. I was not expecting it to almost break my heart. Same thing with kind of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman wasn't quite as bad. But even Better Ray Bill, first issue of Better Ray Bill was honestly like heartbreaking and just made me mad at Thor.
Well, we can kind of talk about that a little bit since that's still doing its thing. And because Tim Cope and I actually had a really good conversation about a single panel in there today. I want to say that I loved it because there's a lot of Scuttlebutt love in this book.
Yes, there's a lot.
Scuttlebutt does not get a lot of page time anymore, and it's I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
But there's this one panel where Beta Ray Bill's going up Ethan's, and you see like the axe, but it's just like a shadow.
Where Stormbreaker was on the wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the TV is on. The TV is on, and it's Rufio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's Pan, because it's like one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, I'm like,
Hook, Tim. Hook.
Sorry. So I'm going through, and I'm Tim, you got me off track. I'm going through and I'm reading the rest of the series, and I'm like, wow, I wonder if this is like kind of like a little bit of a, like, if that was on purpose. Did you do that because the story is very much about Beta Ray trying to just like self-acceptance, or was that just like, I might just do that? Like
Hook was all on while you were drawing.
And then I said, I think it's specifically about Rufio, because Rufio was kind of like at the very first issue, like he's kind of he like kind of took over for Thor,
right?
Much like how Rufio took over for Pan, and then Thor comes back and everybody's like, well, fuck you, dude. No one cares. Much like Pan's back, fuck you, Rufio. No one cares.
Yep.
So we were curious to see which side was right, or if it was a little bit of both, or if that was intentional, or just kind of you were watching it on TV that night when you put it in there.
So I'm going to answer this question, but first I have to order Portillo's on my phone.
Okay.
Because they're about to close. And,
absolutely.
I am so just talk amongst yourselves for like 1 minute.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, we're gonna,
I'm gonna answer your question.
It's cool. We have a couple cool things to announce. So since we had to push our Ron Friends signing back a week, Ron Friends will be on the show Thursday, August 5th at 8:00. He's gonna be talking about Heroes Union with me and Tim. So make sure you check that out. I'm curious to know if Ron knows how to use Zoom, so this is going to be awesome. And very cool, we hit 50 subscribers. So I'm going to let Tim talk a little bit about what we're going to do for that.
Well, of all the subscribers that we have, when we hit 50, we're going to do a random drawing next week, John.
Yep.
Next week. And we have a comic package with some signed books and different things that me and John thought were cool for that person. So, it's awesome that, we just started this YouTube channel. We've been doing it on, podcasts and stuff on Spotify and stuff for a while, but we started this YouTube channel just a couple months ago. So, it's fun to have, that many people jumping on board and watching and interacting with people as the show goes on.
So what we'll do is next week during the show, we want as many people live watching as possible, and we're gonna give it to one of those live people. So and all you have to do is put something in the chat, and I will have Tim randomly pick somebody at the end of the night.
Make a high. Sorry.
But it'll be a good time. I'm curious to see if the Ron Friends show ends up being like a 3-hour show, because that dude has so many stories. It's going to be so awesome.
Hold on, because I said that and you picked your head up immediately when I said that, and you were about to say something.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I was just saying I finished my order and I'm ready to talk again.
I thought we were going to talk Pee Wee Herman.
All right. Let's hear about Rufio and Pan. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So back into it. So I love silver. I call them silver characters. So characters in fiction that like aren't quite as cool as like the main hero or heroine. So people
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really into it. I've always been into it, and I'm also talking like real life too. And I've said this a lot in interviews before, but so people like Wedge Antilles, like so cool, right? He's not Luke. He's like the second best pilot, Scottie Pippen, right? Scottie Pippen's an amazing player, but like he was always next to Jordan,
Yeah.
He's like kind of, I mean, I don't want to insult the guy, but next to Jordan, he was always kind of like the silver guy.
Yeah.
And people like Rufio, who are like next to Pan are always like kind of second best and they kind of get outshone, but they're still like so badass, but it's like, it almost makes them more badass that they're not the number one guy or gal.
To try harder.
Yeah, try harder. And like a lot of times there's some sort of flaw that keeps them from getting to the top, I'm thinking right now of Boromir in like Lord of the Rings. I loved Boromir, and I remember I got like so much crap for it in literature class. I was like, Boromir's friggin' awesome. And everyone's like, why? He totally betrayed them. And I was like, yeah, but I would totally do that if I was him.
Well, and there's also all those arguments about the whole the adventures on the edge of a blade or whatever. It basically all had to play out the exact way it played out, or it wouldn't have actually happened successfully. Like that's kind of the whole point of the thing.
Right.
Boromir failing made the party break up before they got into a much more dangerous area that the party would have split.
Yeah, and it was the turning of Boromir that made Frodo wise to how untrustworthy the ring was making all of his trusted friends of the Fellowship, and he leaves. He has to, and him leaving does break up the Fellowship. Like that's the final, death to the Fellowship. And I don't know. I love Boromir. Anyway, so I was kind of like, I also consider Beta Ray Bill to be in that same category. I always have, always kind of second best. And I just think he looks so cool. But I also love Hook, I loved Rufio growing up. So I was like, man, it's just like a fun little, what's not the metaphor? What's the thing where it's like, just like the other thing? It's basically like
Simile?
Is that what it is? Where it's just like two things that are like different, but they're exactly the same.
Yeah. It's metaphor and simile. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So very simple, and I just thought it was a fun little like shout out, like to like one of my favorite movies. And I will say that Hook does make a return appearance in issue 5.
Oh,
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a little
Super
I just read issue 4 today.
Awesome.
Definitely seems like 5 is ramping up for a pretty climactic ending.
I got all the emotional stuff out in issue 4. Issue 5 is like
yeah, I was gonna say 4 was there was some rough flashbacks in that scene
so issue 5 is like, let's freaking go.
But the best cover of the 4 so far is easily him. Is it 3 super gluing the Stormbreaker back together, and he's got a couple empty glue bottles.
That was a pretty great cover.
That's easily the best cover. I love that one.
Thank you. I'm very happy with that one. I just think it's so fun.
Yeah.
Well, and then him doing the Simonson one too was amazing as well.
Oh yeah, it was really fun too.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about the books that you're doing is they're fun. Like it's making comics fun again. And I think that's amazing because sometimes they take themselves too seriously.
Sure.
And you're able to get a serious message across, but still have a lot of fun. And that's what makes me a fan for sure.
Makes it easy to sell to people too.
Yeah, no, and that's the goal. I don't want to make stuff that's just kind of breezy. I want to make stuff that is really fun, but then also like makes you, walk out of that experience. I'm talking like walking out of a theater. The way I would relate to it is like there's some movies that I've seen in my life, and you just walk out of that theater being like, man, I am so thankful I was alive that I got to experience that. It like makes you like reassess or be thankful for something or just be like thankful to be alive. Like that's some of the best art that I've experienced, and I want to do that for my readers.
That's awesome.
I watched an interview with you just like preparing, and you were talking about, you know, manga influences and stuff, and I got really excited because you mentioned a boxing manga.
Oh yeah,
it's Hajime no Ippo.
Yeah,
and I'm finally glad to meet somebody that has read that. Me and my brother love it. And I tell people about it all the time. You can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, you had pulled it out and you're like, it's Haji, and you're like, I don't want to butcher it. So, but it's awesome. And I'm like, oh my God, finally. So I just wanted to say that because that was exciting to meet somebody that's read that.
So I gotta be honest, I haven't read it because I have not been able to find it in English.
Oh, okay.
I have it. I have like the best of book. It's like a oversized manga that's in Japanese. That's of like the best of Hajime no Ippo. So it's got like the all throughout this he's like the run. It's like the main fights that have happened. So it's like all fight scenes, which is what I want to see.
Yeah.
And I learn a lot from those. And I also like seeing how people render crowds.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, like figuring that out. So it's always really interesting to me.
Yeah, for graphic or for images, it's a fun book for sure. A lot of cool ways to like throwing fists and fighting and stuff like that. So yeah,
and I'm always looking for new ways to draw somebody getting punched.
I was going to say I saw a piece on you that talked about using anime and manga as like composition inspiration.
Oh yeah, I have a stack of manga and storyboard books from different anime films, next to my couch when I thumbnail, and I just use from them all the time. And in my opinion, compositions are pretty universal. It's all just shapes, but it's just amazing the kinds of how it's amazing. Like there's so many different ways to present something and show something in a certain way, and I love it. It's just the best. I love looking at that stuff, and specifically looking at good composition. It's just the best. It's like scratching an itch or something.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm working on a panel, this is off topic, but sometimes when I'm working on a panel and I know the composition is not that great, and you're like, well, I can't think of anything better right now. So then you just slug it out, and it's just miserable. And you just like make up for it with like really great drawing and poses and stuff. So the panel looks kind of awkward because it's like not really laid out super well, but man, you just draw the shit out of it to try and make up for it. I could point out multiple instances of me like overworking to make something perfect, to try and make it better. But in reality, if the composition is solid, that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Sounds like the stories of
Ron was asking what you ordered and when it will arrive, which is a good question because we don't want to keep you from your food.
So I am playing video games at 8:30 with some friends.
So a few more minutes.
Yes, I have a few more minutes. Okay, I'm looking at my app here. I don't do this often, actually. Usually we make dinner. But my wife's not home from work yet. Okay. 32 minutes.
Oh,
and I ordered from Portillo's, which is like a local Chicago chain. And I got 2 like Chicago style hot dogs and 1 cheese fries because I am a deviant.
I approve of that order. All right, so we're gonna end with a round of questions real quick.
Okay.
Each of us have like a cool question for you.
Okay.
Mine's like a 2-parter because it's kind of half of another employee's plus my own.
Cool.
So, the first one is, so the band's called Bruticus, right? There's obviously Transformer influence in there because you hear it in a couple songs.
Yeah.
So are you a big Transformers fan? And if so, like, what metal band would you use what Transformer, whether it be Autobot or Decepticon, on if you had to get a cover, if you got to do a cover for somebody? That's my question.
Okay. So wait. So say that last question again. So okay. if I did an illustration for a metal band.
So if you got to do a metal band's album cover,
yep.
What would be the dream band to do it? If they asked you to do a Transformer related cover for it, which Transformers would you toss on there?
I'm thinking I'd love to do something super fun like Unleash the Archers. They're like this power metal band from Canada.
Yeah.
I think they're really great. And I'd love to draw Unicron in some way, shape, or form. But then like with Optimus Prime staring him down, something super epic, where he's like, "You foolish, red plaything,"
Yeah.
I'm a big Unicron guy, so I love that, and I love Unleash the Archers.
Awesome. So you're also a Transformers fan then?
Oh, huge. I mean, yeah, sorry, I huge G1. Don't talk to me about Michael Bay, but huge G1 fan.
Yep.
When I saw Optimus Prime with no mouth, I was like, I'm done. Nope, I'm out.
Yep.
Peace. Yep. Nope.
Done. All right, Cope, you're up next.
I don't want to hold you up because you got your game time.
Give me the question. Let's roll.
Well, now I just want to know what you're playing now.
Oh, well, I'm going back and forth with some friends. I only play really right now because I'm so busy. I'm only playing video games socially. So when I play with every Thursday with some friends, we're going back and forth between Chivalry 2, and which is like a knights in armor fighting game. It's like first person knight fighting. It's pretty awesome. And there's nothing quite like heaving a battle axe on my friends' heads.
Nice.
And then I'm also playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Oh, nice.
And I've never even played the campaign. I just play.
Who does anymore?
Yeah, I know.
I'm one weird that doesn't do multiplayer.
Hey, that's cool. My KD is like a solid 1-1. It's
nice.
like that's my ratio. Sometimes 2-1, but very rare. And I haven't played in a while, so it'll be 1-2 today.
Yeah, that's still good because those 12-year-olds, man, that every time I get on, they're so good.
Like
and they just get better and better.
So
and
mean.
better.
Yeah,
so mean.
Yeah, and so mean.
Yep. And I'm like, I need to be a dad. I can't just be, it's just crazy.
Yelling at kids.
Yeah.
All right, Hibbard, what's your question?
I forget if I had any other more specific ones still, but a couple, two quick ones.
Okay.
One is you said you're already working on what you're doing next. Is that going to be something again with you and Mr. Mike Spicer again?
Oh, whatever I do, Mike Spicer will be there with me.
Okay.
100%. Oh, he's the best.
I saw today Extremity was like the first thing you did with him.
It was, yeah. We actually had a different colorist when we started, but they weren't able to keep up with the deadlines. So we had to find a different artist, a different colorist, and we picked Mike.
And the rest is history.
The other quick thing I'd ask you real quick is this: if you have a dream big 2 project. I saw in an interview you talked about because your dad trying to get you on it because it was non-violent. You wanted to do like an ultra-violent heroes for Dial H
for
Hero. Yeah, I'd love that. Oh, I'd love that.
Would that be it if you could do anything for that you wanted to do for DC or Marvel?
Well, I know it wouldn't sell, but man, it would be fun.
I think Tim and I would buy it, so we get a few more people.
So much crazy stuff, and I just love the idea of drawing somebody turning a rotary phone.
Honestly, they did a freaking Vertigo book with it, didn't they? In like the early 2000s.
Did they?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I swear.
I don't think so.
Yes,
maybe.
they did, because there was like kids doing jackass things, and then like somebody was like a serial killer. I think it was it might not actually been Vertigo. Might have been really like close to Vertigo without being Vertigo, but it was pretty dark.
Okay.
So, but whatever. I diverged.
All right. Well, we're running close. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with everybody today.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
Of course. Oh man, what a blast.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah,
I don't think I've laughed this hard on the podcast ever. So
that's great.
I try, John. I try.
You're just not as fun. No, it's fine. Thank you, other Tim, for also joining us today. It was a pleasure having you as well. So everybody on here, stay on for a second after I shut off the feed. To everybody watching, don't forget next week we're giving away some stuff. So make sure you watch and are paying attention.
And subscribe and like.
Yes.
And thank you all.
And then again, we have Ron Friends coming up on the 5th. And then we're going to take a break week on the 12th. Mostly because I'm going to the Ron Friends signing, and so is Tim, and we won't make it home in time to do the show. Because we'll most likely be at dinner with Ron Friends. But that's about it. Thanks a lot, guys. And it was awesome to have everybody. Bye-bye.